the non-physical forms, like verbal and emotional, they don't know it because it's so insidious. They just know something doesn't feel right. Just the other day when I was over at one of the high schools in December, I was there for 4 days. 4 girls came up to me in 4 days with cases of abuse. 2 sexual, 2 emotional. And one girl had had a sexual assault happen about 10 years ago, but it was just starting to come to trial. And I just held her and we were talking and she was just shaking. And she's being re-traumatized, but she's doing a courageous thing trying to get this guy behind bars. It's so prevalent. We saw this slide earlier, but I want you to really get how prevalent emotional abuse is in their dating relationship in classes. Here are some statistics. 1 in 3 teens reported knowing a friend or peer who has been physically hurt by his or her partner. Only 33% of teens who are in an abusive relationship have ever told anyone about it. And 80% of girls who are abused by their partners continue to date their abuser. It takes an average of 5 times to be out of a relationship, an abusive relationship. And I was working with a girl a few years ago who was dating an abusive boy. Her best friend came to me and she said, "Would you help us? We got to get out of this relationship." So we met with her a few times. And she had gone through my class, she knows all the signs and everything. And it still took her another year before she could convince herself to get out. So it's a very complex, it's not, well, why don't you just leave? And I hope I can portray some of that today to you. So these are just some stats. 1 in 3 adolescents is a victim of some kind of abuse from a dating partner. 1 in 3. So do the math with your classes. A lot of kids who are carrying around a lot of dysfunction and destruction in these classes. 1 in 10 has been purposely hit, slapped, or physically hurt. 1 in 4 high school girls have been victims of physical or sexual abuse. 70% of college students say they've been sexually coerced. Nearly half of the teens who experience dating violence report the instances of abuse took place in the school building or on school grounds. And that kind is verbal and emotional. So one of my challenges to you guys, and I'll go through how you can help your students, is if you see it, please stand up and do something. If you see someone turning their back or abuse someone, it's okay to go up and say, is that treating her respectfully? Is that treating him respectfully? We need to confront these kids, and we need to show the people who are having the abuse happen to them that it's not okay, they have a voice, and they need to stand up. Almost all violence is learned. Unless you are raped by a stranger, everything else starts with verbal and emotional abuse. And like I say, it's not about anger, it's about power and control. So let me give you a little, see if you can see this little did you guys see this on the game? Yeah. He looks like the boyfriend of the year. And of those bullies, if they don't get help, 24 to 30% of those will be convicted of a crime by the time they're 21. So bullying is huge. And if they don't get stopped down and helped, they will become abusive people. They already are, but they'll become worse. So there's no empathy, there's no compassion. They make the rules, they expect you to follow them, but they don't have to follow them. It's all about power and control. How can I keep you dependent on me? And that is by threats, intimidation, fear, and tearing you down so you have no self-confidence and no life outside of them. And I want to focus on the emotional world because that's what you're going to see the most in dating violence and in the homes. A lot of kids will know what physical and sexual assault is, but the verbal and emotional is really great. So a lot of times what they'll do is it's crazy making. And you'll be with whoever, if your father or mother is abusive, and they'll say, well, I never said that. And then you start to doubt yourself. Well, I heard you just tell me that. Or they rip you to shreds and they don't talk to you for a few days, treat you horribly, and then they go out, there's my son, I'm so proud of you, right? You go to school, you don't even know some of these people are heroes in their community. They're sitting in with you in the church. They distort things. They manipulate and they lie so that they don't have to take responsibility. They ignore comments, they ignore you. They can ignore you for days. You're not worthy. You're not worthy of my time or attention. They're disordered in their thinking, so you can't approach them like normal people. And that's something I really want you to get. They genuinely believe their distortions. Or they are so good at manipulating them that they get other people to believe them. So we had an incident in one of the schools I was at, and one of the girls came up to me and said she had agreed to go with a guy to a sweetheart dance. She agreed to go with him in October, and the sweetheart dance wasn't until February. And she was telling me this just in December. And she said, since then, since she said yes, he got angry at a girl, and he had threatened he was going to rape her. Well, the guy was suspended, rightly so, for, 6 or 8 days or something. And then this girl found out about it. She said, well, I don't think I want to go now, but she's worried about it. How to say no to him. And then she said, just 2 days before I was there, she said she was chased down the hall by him. Another part of the story is they have to share part of their way home together. So she was walking home with her girlfriends, and she said we could hear someone behind us, but then when we turned around, we couldn't see him. So he was probably stalking. So I said, okay, that's all I need. Let's go see the counselor. So we took the teacher, and the little girl and I went, and we talked to her counselor. And again, counselors are great. They're well-meaning, they want to help. But when you don't know the dynamics of abuse, you can offer some very dangerous information and advice. And I have received that for many, many years. Much dangerous advice. So one of my passions is to teach schools how can we respond to abusive people. They're different. So the counselor said, well, our priority is to keep you safe. And that's right. That's a good thing to say. So how can we keep you safe? Well, she's like, well, that's why I'm here. No. And I said, can we keep the guy after school for 30 minutes while we get her home? Can we get the mom to come pick her up for the first 2 months? At least the first month. This girl wanted to break off her little promise to go dance with this guy. And anytime you break up with an abusive person, you're in the most danger during that time. So I wanted to really make sure she was safe for the first month or two after that. And the counselor said, well, yeah, we could talk about that. He said, and I could also probably get him in here, and he could tell you that he's sorry, and that you're not comfortable with that. And I'm thinking, God bless you for being a counselor. You're here to do that with these people. And the little girl, I could just see her just like, she said, Miss Addison, I'm having nightmares about this guy. So you can't treat them like normal people. You can't have them come in and say, well, I feel scared with you when you do this, because that's what they want you to say. That's just empowering the bully. So you treat them as totally different. And you want to treat the victim, you do not want to cater to the bully. And that's what we see in colleges. If a girl comes forward and says she's been sexually assaulted, who ends up having to leave the school? She does. She's re-victimized. So we have to change our mindset when we work with these kind of people. And he needs help, and he needs to get the appropriate help. or you can re-victimize and you can enable and empower the police. And they are extremely charming and manipulative. You will see a Jekyll and a Hyde. Types of abuse. We all know the physical. We just talked about emotional and verbal. Spiritual is, you don't respect me enough, I'm the man of the house, or whatever. Financial is withholding money, you can't have your own bank account. Sexual is any kind of sexual touch or action that is not approved by you. And sex assault is so prevalent on college campuses now. 1 in 4 girls will be attacked and sexually assaulted on campus. 1 in 4. And it's gotten so bad that the government has stepped in and said, you're not going to get your Title IX money now unless you provide sex assault prevention programs. Well, I'm trying to get my stuff in there, and I want to back it up and say, let's get way, way back before the girls even go to the party. I want them to know this is a red flag you got to look out for. And so we talk a lot about that. But sexual abuse can be derogatory sexual terms, too. And one of the things colleges are doing now, no is no, especially when she can't say it. So a lot of college guys will drug the girls. And there are 2 pictures, and I tell the girls this in the high schools, there are 2 pictures, different color pictures at these frat parties and college parties, and not all guys, but some of the guys will do this. The red one is for the guys, and the blue one is for the girls. The blue one is laced with bakery drugs. And the college guys, when they're caught, their response, well, she didn't say that. What happens to our boys? Why do they get to that point where they feel they're entitled to do that? And that's something we need to address in education. And that's something that coaches need to address. So emotional abuse is making light of the abuse, not taking their concerns seriously, saying it didn't happen, saying you caused it, ignoring you. I want to kind of quickly go through this because I want to have some time for questions. They manipulate and distort the truth. We kind of talked about that. They embarrass you, they shame you, they want to isolate you, they prevent you from seeing family and friends. Their intent is to shame, intimidate, and punish you in order to control you. If they can strip you down so you have no support system, then they won. Signs of abuse are a lot like suicide things. I'm not going to go into all that, we don't have time. But look for a request to change in the schedule. Honor the victim, not the bully. Honor the victim, not the bully. If she wants to stay in class, let her. Or he wants to stay in class, let her. But if the bully is the one, the reason why they want to leave, make the bully leave. Okay, verbal abuse, just real quick. I don't know if you can see these. Can you see what it is written on this? Molested at age 5, prisoner at 27, ugly, horse face, too skinny, abnormality. They're not bruises. She has a facial discoloration. A tongue has no bones, but it's strong enough to break a heart. I'm telling you that. Careful with your words. Emotional and verbal abuse is much more damaging than physical abuse. Those scars stay with you if you don't get help for life. And for every negative thing you say, take 7 positives to make up for it. So be careful with what you say at times. Think before you say it. So it's kind of what you would think, telling people what to do, using online communication, social media type thing as well. All with the intent to tear you down. The kids can really relate when there's a public figure that is going through what they're going through. And Sarah Hyland from Modern Family just got through with a very public dating violence breakup. And so I showed the kids a little clip of that. That's very powerful for her. I also showed them a clip on Demi Lovato, the famous singer, and she went through horrible bullying. Still to this day has scars from that. And the kids like to see that. So that helps. And then we talked about hitting is not love, lying is not love, put down stalking, jealousy, and control are not love. One thing that's really important that you need to tell your kids if they come forward with abuse or if you're talking about it, it's not their fault. And you cannot say that enough. You cannot say that enough. I just got done writing a book and it's called Lizzie Lives in an Angry House. And I literally got my first shipment yesterday. It's hot off the press. And I just put it out there on the table if any of you are interested in it. But what we talk about in the book is how to live in an angry house. It's a fiction book about a little girl named Lizzie. And it's a compilation compilation of real-life stories, part my story, part other kids that I worked with, their stories, written in kids' perspective for kids. And then at the end of the book, there are discussion questions for trusted adults on how you can help these kids overcome these kind of environments that they have to live in until they're 18 and can leave the house or 16. But one thing that we talk about in the book a lot is it's not your fault. This was clear this morning until I drove down from Denver and said, pretend that the water is clear. There's a little bit of dirt at the bottom of that. You don't see that? Okay, so let's pretend it's clear. Normally it is with the kids. And I'll tell them, there's some dirt in the bottom of it, and then I'll shake it up. Is the water dirty? Yep. Was the water dirty before I shook it up? Was the water dirty before I shook it up? That's what kids say. Yes, it was. The dirt was still in there. All my shaking did was stir it up, right? It's the same way with a destructive person's heart. What is in their heart, nobody knows. And I tell the kids, and I lived it, and I said that I have this in my kitchen sink when I lived this. It's so powerful. It's not me that caused them to be that way. It was in their heart. It was the hurt, the pain, and the broken places in their heart. Something triggered it, shook their water up. We got the brunt of it, but it wasn't our fault. So please always make sure that your students know abuse is never, ever, 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 ever their fault. Like the dirty water in the jar. I had an 8th grade girl have to leave the class because she was so distraught over that. So it's huge because we take a lot of shame and responsibility for things that we shouldn't. Okay, I want to skip to things you can do now. Well, we also talk about bystander support. So what you can do, say you're sorry, I'm so sorry. You can't relate to it. It's just like giving birth. Nobody can relate to it unless you do it, right? Our husbands can feel sorry for it, but they can't, they'll never know. So just like with abuse, I'm so sorry this happened. I'm so sorry. How can I help you? I believe in you. I believe in you. You can overcome this. I believe you. I believe your story. I will help you. I will help you find the right resources. I will stand beside you. I will give you the support you need. It's not your fault. You don't deserve to be treated. You are created with dignity and worth and respect. And then get trained in abuse dynamics. One thing that one of the teachers has done in a 5th grade classroom that I would just throw to you guys to think about as you're trying to help kids. This was more for 5th grade, but teenagers can act like 5th graders too. But what this woman did was after, she would teach for 20, 25, 30 years. Every Friday after school, she had the kids during that day write out an anonymous little paper who they wanted to sit by the next week and what was their favorite thing they did, or something, too many questions, but the main one was who do you want to sit by? What she did was she went through and she profiled all the things going on in the classroom. Brilliant woman. And she said it happened right after Columbine. So what she was doing was she was looking at who is not getting requested by anyone to sit by. Who is always apologizing. When you come from destructive homes, you think it's your fault, so you're insecure. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Or you're really angry and you're lashing out. Who had a million times last week and none this week? Who is easily scared or shut down, maybe by a loud voice? And who triggers to loud voices or criticism? Start looking at that in your families, in your classes, and take an x-ray. And try not to let these kids fall through the cracks. Help them find friends. They still need help finding friends. So one of the things that we do, I teach resiliency. How can we get our bounce back? How can we learn to fly? 3, 2, 1. And the kids, of all my comments and my testimonies I've given, a lot of them say they love the 3, 2, 1. Find 3 positive adults that you trust, that want the best for you, that can help